Welcome to the Buildings Canada webinar, Reimagining Project Controls, aimed to educate and inspire professionals within construction, architecture, design, engineering, property management, and renovation. Today's speaker is Marcel Brockmat from Trimble. So without further delay, I'd like to introduce Marcel.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. And thanks for joining this webinar. As the introduction said, my name is Marcel Brockmat. I'm a market manager responsible for project controls in Trimble. And today I'd like to share with you Project Site, our new product for management of construction projects. I'd like to start with an overview of a couple of trends that we've recognized in the industry over the last couple of years, and then go into a description of how we're addressing those trends and how we help with improvements in processes that are possible through the use of technology. So first, we recognize that it has become increasingly difficult to find the information that is needed to make informed decisions on projects. Data lives in a collection of applications, a large variety of tools that are being used on job sites. And finding the right file in the right version and in the right place has unfortunately introduced a significant overhead on projects. And of course, if you're not able to find the right information, then uninformed decision making equals inaccurate decision making, and rework unfortunately can be the consequence of that. Another trend that we see picking up steam is that of data mining. So use of data for visualization and learning as a team or as a company has become popular, and BI tools or business intelligence tools are being adopted throughout the industry. However, in order to take advantage of the benefits that can be obtained through those tools, you need organized data. You need access to that information. Third trend, increased level of prefabrication. That's seen as an opportunity for more efficient building and delivering higher quality. And by managing the prefabrication process successfully requires almost like a construction PLM, a project lifecycle management tool. Detailed planning of prefabricated components is needed to make sure that the component that you prefabricating fits and is delivered on time. So somewhat related to that is more attention for logistics. Many companies want to work leaner or implement lean construction methodologies, and that requires that labor, materials, and equipment are available at the right time and at the right place in your project, which means more attention needed to logistics planning, both on the job site as well as in the supply chain. And the last important trend is mobility. That's made it possible to take your information literally everywhere. So it makes sense that you will want to see the information on your device that is relevant for that location or for the area that you want to work on. So instead of creating better organized data sets or more centrally organized project models, what we see happening is what we like to call the construction IT paradox. So on one side of that paradox, you see managers and decision makers who want to keep track of everything that happens on the job. You want to be aware of who's responsible for an issue. You want to keep track of the weather, what the weather was, say, 3 weeks ago on a Thursday. And of course, you want to be aware of what the budget status is of the project. So all of that should be easy to look up. That makes decision making easier. And in order to accomplish that, some structure in the information is needed. And that, of course, requires a certain level of process thinking. Now, the other side of the paradox is the world of simple, social, and task-oriented apps. That side of the equation does not necessarily like to learn new applications that are complicated and contain many screens. That is where people would love to use tools that are similar to, say, a WhatsApp or an Instagram. And there are many apps that cater to those needs today. There's a plethora, really, of task-oriented tools that are available through the app stores or the Play Store. Now, while that is not a problem on its own, the use of those applications is great and does lead to efficiencies for specific roles, but unfortunately, it does lead to containers of information. And so you have a silo for email, a silo for your requests for information, your RFIs. There may be another silo for drawings, so a place where all your drawings get stored and shared, a place where you keep track of the defects or punch list items on the job. You may have an application that is used for file sharing purposes, and increasingly, of course, 3D models. So all of those places exist, and it becomes quite difficult to find the right place, the right version, and the right set of information that can help you make decisions. So what to do about that? What we notice and what we realize is that drawings are still a key component of any construction job. Big difference with today's situation, or between today's situation and some years ago, is that drawings are now delivered in a digital format, often as PDFs. And having easy access to these PDFs is key. That's very important. And then being able to use that in an offline mode on a mobile device, being able to add annotations is an absolute requirement for a solution that aims to bring all of this information together. Building information models, or BIM, VDC, has been introduced, or was introduced to the industry in, I'd say, the 90s, and is by now a well-accepted methodology for many construction jobs. Helps project teams coordinate the designs that have been prepared by all disciplines that are involved, and through coordination meetings in virtual design and construction teams, as well as clash detection technology, these constructability issues can be removed from the project plans before construction starts. So BIM has been proven very valuable during the engineering and pre-construction phase, but it doesn't have, or it has not been adopted yet during the actual construction phase. And we believe that 3D models can provide the spatial context and additional information that would be beneficial during that stage too. So you may think, what is Trimble doing in this space? Wasn't Trimble a hardware company? And the answer to apologize. The answer to that is yes. We are a hardware company, but we are also a software company. As a matter of fact, 50% of our revenue comes from businesses related to software. And if you look at our logo, so the little triangle in the bottom right corner here, you will see, or the logo has a triangle that represents a number of key things that that are core to our strategy and what we want to deliver to the industry, and that is position, information, and communication. So where those three things meet, that is what Trimble does. And of course, what we just described is a perfect example of that. So a little bit of history for you to understand how Trimble ended up here, why we want to solve this problem as well. And that starts with GPS. Trimble started as the first commercial partner for the US government to make GPS available for consumer and businesses. So that's how the company started. And then the next transformation was into positioning. That may be how a lot of you on the phone and in the webinar recognize the Trimble name. Technologies such as robotic total stations and GNSS devices, equipment that is often installed on the big heavy civil equipment as well. Now the next step was to focus on productivity, and that's what we're talking about here today. And really our mission is to transform the way the world works, and today we're talking about the construction part of the world through technology. And the next step in that is for us to look at the construction continuum and optimizing the way that can be done, reimagining the way that project management can be supported through integrated processes. What we wanted to do, and what the title of this webinar is as well, is to reimagine project controls. So we want to do that by putting project information in a spatial context, and whether that is 2D drawings or 3D building information models, we believe that we can better support the plan, do, check, and act cycle that probably everybody in this meeting goes through many times per day and many times per week, by bringing those pieces together. And the magic marker that you see there on the screen is a tool that we virtualize as well, and that will help us bring those components together. So with that, I'd like to introduce ProjectSight, and I will go through a number of screens to go through the highlights first, and then I will switch over to the actual application and do a demonstration of what ProjectSight can do for you. So ProjectSight is a web-based application that runs in the browser and on the iPad, and I will have a number of screenshots of the iPad in a moment as well. And after opening the application, you will be presented with the projects that you have access to, as well as the modules or functionality that is available for you. Key component, as mentioned before, is drawings. So you can immediately jump into the drawings that have been published, that have been made available for the project. And once opening a drawing, you can review these drawings, zoom in, and add markup. And you can do that either in the browser or in your mobile device. Once you recognize an area that requires some attention, perhaps there is a question or there is an issue, you can use one of the markup or annotation tools on the screen to identify where that area is. So in this case, we added a cloud to that corner of the building. Now, after adding a cloud, you can then link that annotation to literally everything. You can link that to other drawings. You can link that to model views, which sometimes provide a better idea of what a solution may look like. You can link to files that exist in your library or files that you upload from your local system, or link to another URL. Now, when you link to a record, and in this case we link to a request for information, that record content actually appears on the right-hand side of your screen. So you don't have to leave the context of the drawing to interact with that information. So that is where you see the question. So there's a clarification of wall finishes being asked. There is the response from team members who submitted other drawings that may be relevant. And you can see who has been assigned that issue as well, and the status, which is indicated at the top of the screen there. That is the pending item. Now, an important component of getting to an answer, getting to a solution for defects or questions, is having a conversation. I mentioned earlier that applications such as WhatsApp or text messaging are very popular in both on the job site and off the job site, so in people's professional and personal lives. And we are introducing that in this application. So you can use a team conversation to respond to the initial question or to the initial defect and get to a resolution that way. Now, those questions or those comments can be submitted in the application, either in the browser or on the iPad. But anytime you get an assignment for a record like this, it is also sent to you by email as a notification. And if you don't have access to the application currently, you can choose to respond to that by email too. And that email response will then end up in the team conversation panel. So all of that information is kept together. You don't have to look in various places in order to see the latest information that is available for that question or issue. I mentioned 3D views. We use our Trimble's BIM collaboration platform that we call Connect as the engine to make it possible to view building information models within project site. So the models that have been uploaded by the design and engineering firms to that collaboration platform are directly accessible from project site. So if there's a view that explains the current situation better than a 2D drawing, you just link to that view. Users click on that view and interact with that model or the collection of models within the application. Access security is important. You don't want everybody to see everything on the job. Sometimes you want to make sure that only owners see certain piece of information, or that only specific subcontractors or other partners on the job see information. And for that purpose, we have a full security model that is role-based built into the system as well. So for each of the features in the system, you can select whether those are available or not for a certain role. And then within the record types that are being created by those features, you can specify what people can do with it, whether they can view, create, add comments, so that's your team conversation, or modify or delete. So all of that is available through the settings that can be defined on either the database or the portfolio level or specific projects. Mentioned the iPad. Mobility is key. You can take your drawings and all of the other project information with you anywhere you go. The drawings and all of the other information is available offline, so you don't need a Wi-Fi connection when you walk the job site and you want to take a picture, say, of a punch list item that you spotted. All of that can also be marked up in the drawing if you wanted to do that in offline mode. And the screenshot actually shows how that works. Exactly the same user interface, the ability to link that information to records. So with that, I'd like to switch over to the actual project site application and do a little demonstration of it live here. And I am opening the browser here to show that to you. So this is what we see in the application after logging in. I have access to 6 projects here, and I'm going to work on the Westminster Office Campus project. Throughout the application, you see this filter panel on the right-hand side, which allows you to search for content through the search bar or through quick switches here that are easy to operate if you work on a touch-enabled screen as well. So the whole application is designed with a mobile-first approach. So if you happen to work on a touch-enabled laptop, you can interact with the browser by just touching the screen. Opening the Westminster Office Campus project, as I said, and after opening of that project, I will see the functional areas of the application presented to me in this first screen. So we have the budget and cost management features, which will help you establish your budget, establish your contract definitions, establish potential change orders, so your risk register, as well as the change orders that you may want to issue. Document control is everything related to project communication. So that is your RFIs, the issues that you recognize, and other communications that may go out to team members. Field management is related to everything that you find on the site. So things like punch list items, safety notices, etc. We'll take a close look in a moment. You already notice here that there is a number 3. That Veg app icon indicates that there's 3 items within that area of document control that have been assigned to me. Before we go there, though, I want to take a look at what we deem is very important to provide the context for all of that information, which is drawings. And drawings are loaded into the system as drawing sets. So assigned team members will have the ability to upload PDF files that you may receive through a Dropbox or a Box.com or any other file sharing platform, and want to make available to all your team members. Now, a drawing set can be compared to what used to arrive to the site or to the office as a FedEx delivery. And so that box arrives, and then you want to review the drawings that are in that box before you make it available and mark it as fit for construction. So in order to do that, I simply hit the plus button, and that will then allow me to create a new set of drawings that I want to add to the system. And Project Site asks you for a sample from that set before we do that. So it allows me to navigate to an area in the drawing or in my file system, and I can select one of the drawings so that Project Site can open that for me, and then it allows me to specify where in that drawing I can find the number. So in this case, this obviously is the number, and it also allows me to specify where the title is. Now I can click on that button and I say this is where my drawing number is. And it will read that information. So this is A9.10. I can also specify where the title is. Now that area is always here, and I make that a little bit bigger because I know that I've got longer tiles in the set as well. So this is building details. Now I click next, and it will process this first drawing from the set, and it will add that to the set. So this is A910, building details. Now I can hit browse and add additional drawings, and I'm going to add just a couple, let's say from the 7 series. I'm going to grab these, open, and it will upload those drawings into the system, and it uses the specification that I just added. So it knows where to look for the number, and it knows where to look for the title. Now after upload, I can quickly take a look at those drawings. So let's say I want to look at the interior elevations. Hit on a little triangle, and it will open the drawing, and I can start to interact with the drawing. So zoom in, zoom out, move around, and perhaps I see that some of the changes that I requested have not been processed yet. If that is the case, I can create a comment. So I can say changes not processed. And I can say instead of this drawing being approved, it is going to be rejected. And I can assign that to a team member as well. Perhaps I assign that to the engineering firm, to Jim. Jim will get a due date as well and needs to respond before then. But I am not going to approve that drawing. So when I choose to publish these drawings, I will not include this particular drawing. When I do complete this and publish drawings, any existing version of the extracted numbers and titles will be overwritten. So that then becomes the current drawing, and you will see that within the drawings section. So that is the area where the typical user will go to get access to the drawings. Drawing sets is really for your design management. The actual drawings are available through here, and the default view that we'll see is the current set, and that is related to the various versions that I may have uploaded. So in this sample here, A1010 interior details, I have two versions. For this drawing, A1001, I've got 4 versions, but by default it goes to the current set. I can always go back to a previous version as well. So if I wanted to go to revision set 2, I activate that and I see that there's only 2 drawings in that set that were made available for me. When I go back to the current set, I see the entire current set of drawings available for use in the field. When I'm on my iPad, those drawings are being downloaded and accessible offline too. Now let's take a look at one of those drawings. I'm going to go to a floor plan. So let's say we're going to take a look at, let's go a little bit further down. Let's say I want to look at this here, floor finishes. It loads my drawing in a full screen view. And any of the callouts that you have in that drawing, so there may be another drawing number that is referenced in here, is automatically accessible through a hyperlink that is automatically established. Unfortunately, this drawing does not have any hyperlinks. Let me go out and go to another floor plan so that we actually have a better example. Let me open the south wall sections and see if there's any call out to another drawing. I see that there's a couple listed here already. So for example, this is a detail that's referenced from drawing 9.21. When we published the drawings, Project Site automatically found all of the references to those drawings in the actual drawings. And that makes it really easy to navigate your drawing set. I can click on this item and it has detected 9.21 as a reference, and I can jump to that drawing. Here's another drawing, 9.25, and I can jump to that drawing as well. And then I can open that either in a new tab if I want to keep this current context, or I can navigate to that drawing in this current view. Now, zooming in and out, I just zoomed in and out already, results in re-rendering the drawing. So it always optimizes your fidelity for the current zoom factor. It's because we load full PDF. This is not an image, and that is especially important if you interact with very detailed drawings, say rebar drawings or electrical schemas. Now, if I recognize something that requires clarification, I can use one of these markup tools over here on the left-hand side. So I could choose to use a cloud and draw that on the screen. And after I do that, a pop-up dialog allows me to then link that to content. So as I mentioned when I was going through the slides, I can link that to an item in the library. So it could be a file that I uploaded to the system earlier. I can link to another drawing, just like I did with the ones that the system found itself. I can upload a file too. So if I do have a file that currently lives on my computer, I can choose to upload from here. And then just like I did with drawings, I can add that file to the system and it will find its place in the file management system. I can link to a model view. We'll do that in a moment and take a look at what that looks like. And I can also link to a record that exists in the system. And when I choose that, I can choose from any of the available records in the system. So let's say I wanted to tie this to an RFI because I have a question about this specific detail. And I select RFI. And the system will then show me all of the RFIs that have been defined in the database in the project already. So maybe I can't find it. Maybe I've got hundreds already. So then I can search for keywords. Let's say I'm looking for panel. And this is a question about panel detail. So I might as well link to that existing RFI. Once I do that, the logo, or the label rather, is shown in the drawing. And I also see the status. So this has orange status and the title is panel details. So when I browse my drawing next time, I can easily find that back. Let's add another one. And I can do that also from here with the predefined links. First one is an RFI. This is an issue. That is a punch item. And then I can also create shortcuts to other drawings and model views. Let's say I found a punch item. I select that and tap that here. And then instead of getting the option to select what I want to link, it automatically goes to the punch item. And by doing so, I get access to all of the punch items that already have been logged. So perhaps I want to mark up here in this detail. Probably wouldn't typically do that in floor plan view, but I'll do it here as well. I want to add damage behind door. There it is. So that is now a punch item that has been added to this, this drawing as well. I mentioned the model views already. I may have a model view that shows clearly what this detail looks like in 3 dimensions. So perhaps I want to add an annotation here as well. So let's say this is an area where I would like to refer to a 3D view. Now I can click on link and then say model view, and that opens up the project that has been linked to this particular project site project. And a number of views have been prepared by my BIM or VDC team. So perhaps what I want to look at is, let's say I'm choosing the mechanical and structural model view. So I pick that, and a thumbnail image, so a preview of that 3D view, is then presented. So the next time when I click on that item, I get that preview. But what's even better is to actually explore that 3D model view. So I can click on this little triangle again, and then it will navigate into the 3D model view that contains the visualization that I just created. So those views are actually defined in this environment where we do where we upload models and where we actually make those model views available for the project team. So from here, I can navigate to one of the items, say RFI 001, and then it shows me the 3D models in the browser environment, and I don't have to open any application locally to interact with that 3D model content. All in-browser navigation, and the 3D models are being optimized for use in a browser. So all of this works really light. If I wanted to, I can click on an element here as well and see, in this case this is a Tekla model, what the associated information is, and that will then help me interact or answer the question that I may have asked in this RFI that may have been associated with this markup. If you have a lot of content in these drawings, which does happen, so you may have tens or maybe even more more markup in a drawing, then there is an ability to filter out the content that is relevant for the question or the issue that you want to now work on. So the filter panel helps with that. You can say, show me everything that has been assigned to a contact. So show me everything that's been assigned to Jim Brooks. That is only that punch item. Show me everything that's been assigned to James Turner. That is the RFI 16. Show me everything that's of a certain color, or hide the annotation levels. All of those things are possible, and that makes it possible to interact with project management information from within the context of the design. So leaving this drawing now, and let's take a look at creating a report of that information. So assuming that you have information stored in these drawings, you may want to share that as PDFs. So if I select a number of these drawings, I can generate a report, and then that report will have the actual drawings with the markup that you created, as well as the links that have been included. So when I generate this, I can download that report. It will give me all of the hyperlinks of records that are included in it. So let's go back to one of the items that does have some markup in it. So let's say this one, and I'm going to preview what that looks like if I generate a report out of that drawing, and you can see what the PDFs that you download from the system look like, and that can then be shared perhaps in preparation for a meeting or after a meeting. So the first sheet is the information that that is enclosed in that drawing. So we have a list of items that have been created there. So there is a link which is to RFI 002, which is about the ceiling height in room 115. This is the version history of this particular drawing, and then the actual drawing is shown here with the markup, and that's where you see that RFI 002. So all of the information that you need outside of the project site application is available in print format too. So that is information, or that's the drawings, and that's how we interact with project management information from the drawing context. Now, it is also possible to go directly to the project management information. So if I wanted to review the items that have been assigned to me, I could navigate to document control. I saw that there were 3 items assigned to me. And in document control, I see that I have 1 action item and 2 RFIs that have been assigned to me. Now, if I navigate to RFIs, the filter on the right-hand side of the screen is available there for me to quickly find those items that have been assigned to me. So using this toggle, I can quickly get to those records. Same thing for any open items, or I can search for text within those items. So perhaps I want to search for concrete. That shows me 0 RFIs related to concrete. How about detail? There's a number of items that have a question about details. Now, opening an RFI, so let's say I wonder whether additional rebar is needed, ends up in the same presentation as when we were in the drawing. So you see the record on the right-hand side of the screen. You see the questions the question that was asked, and you see the comments that have been submitted. So in this case, there was a URL, and there is also some added links. One of them being a 3D model. I do need to log out and in order to refresh my connection there. Let me do that quickly. I'm going to sign out and sign back in order to get access to that 3D model. And that will then allow me to visualize on the screen what the answer to that rebar question was. So I'm back in my portfolio and navigate to the Trimble portfolio. I'm going back to the Westminster office campus, and then I will go to the RFI that was assigned to me. So in this area, I was in the rebar question, additional rebar, and I want to take a look at this rebar cage and see what that looks like. So the rebar model may have been created by the engineer and shared in response to the question that was asked. Now, that then allows me to really interact in 3 dimensions with the design, and perhaps I want to take some measurements as well. I want to see the on-center distance, for example, and maybe the dimension of that cage, so I can measure that directly from the 3D view. And once I'm done exploring that 3D view, I hit done, and I'm back in that record. If there is another record that may have a link to a punch item, I can jump over to that punch item as well. And there may be an item that has a response in terms of another another drawing that may have been submitted. And then I can navigate back to that drawing. So this one actually has a drawing that I submitted as a response to the initial question. When I click on that drawing, I immediately am taken back to that drawing and back where I started in this demonstration, because that drawing contains markup about the information that is being requested in the RFI. Now, if I click on the RFI here, you will see again that that record on the right-hand side, and you also see that we've got open assignments. One of the assignments is for Steve Brooks, and the other one is for Chris Sawyer. When I click on that little icon there, I see that this is overdue, and that should have been responded to by October 27th. I can move that forward to this week, the 17th. Now Steve Brooks will get a notification, and then he can respond to that question either by logging into project site or by responding to the email, in which case the answer ends up here. So the answer could be, please review drawing dimensions. And that ends up in the team conversation. Again, benefit of having that conversation within the context of the drawing and within the record is that all of that information remains together in that record, and when you want to report on progress or want to see later how that question was resolved, you can always open the record and see that conversation, see everything that has been attached to the record, and the history tells you how it evolved ever since its creation. So this is the initial creation, and then all of the actions that have been taken upon it or with it are in the history tab. RFIs is one of the types of information in here. Submittals, so support for your submittal process is part of it as well. So you want to keep track of the approvals of submitted materials based on specifications, and keep track of sending that out to team members. The view that we're looking at here is really a table view, but in every part of the application you can switch between this table view or tabular view and this card mode, and all of the areas support the search capability that you see here on the right hand side. All of these records can be tracked, so you assign that to team members if something is wrong. With the attached specification, team conversation allows you to find out how that can be fixed, so that eventually that submittal can be set to approved and the materials can be ordered, so that you have an on-time delivery of your materials and equipment. That's just another example of what project site supports. Let's navigate over to the other two modules. So the field management module is where we keep track of quality issues that may exist in punch items. Daily reports can be logged. The safety notices can be logged in here as well. If I open the daily reports, today's date is opened by default, and that then allows me to log everything that happens on the job site. So perhaps there was a delivery of concrete, and I post that as an image. Perhaps something was found, so an issue may have been detected. In that case, I may want to actually attach an image, which I can do directly from here, again keeping all of that information together. And so I can navigate to some of the photos that I may have taken, and of course when you work on an iPad, that is something that is added automatically when I snap a picture with my iPad. So when I say post, that is added to the conversation stream, added to the database. When I generate a report of my daily reports, I can include that information. Alternatively, I can link to another record. So perhaps today I created a new contract. Then I can link to that contract from the daily report. There's also some built-in features that I can use, such as labor. Maybe I want to log labor. For the subcontractor Ben. And I know that subcontractor Ben used this crew A. Default quantity has been defined in the companies and context area of the application. And I say that they use 24 hours, and I want to copy the previous description. So that may have been work that subcontractor Ben performed yesterday. Let's rebar area B, floor 2, hit done. And I can, as a manager of the job, also switch that to approved. Subcontractor Ben cannot do that himself. That would be the manager, and that's again managed through the all of the security settings in the application. And also add weather, and like I said, any other thing that happens on site during a day and results in a log of information. And I'll get some other examples here of what that looks like. So here, for example, we got a safety notice, no hard hat. I got the weather logged, etc., and everything that has been logged in the past is easily accessible. Now let's navigate back to the root of this project, and we'll take a quick look at the change management features that are in project site as well, helping you to establish a starting budget and then contracts, so the commitments against that starting budget. All of those can be imported very easily using an Excel mechanism. So if the output of your estimating work can be stored as an Excel file, you can easily copy and paste and bring your budget definitions in that way. Once it is in project site, all of that information is shown as the original budget. Then we've got pending revisions, so that's your potential change orders, which can get a classification. Then based on that projected budget, we've got the commitments, which are the contracts, and then all of that ends up on the right-hand side with an overview of the projected cost and the current over and under. On the project level, all of that information can be seen over here in the top left corner. And this grid allows you to make any modifications as long as it's not approved in place. So that's an easy way to interact with this data. If you wanted to customize the set of columns that you see in this grid, you just open this area over here, and you can change the order of the columns and add any additional columns as needed. Grouping of cost information can be done through here as well, and that way you can see the subtotals associated with the budget codes that you've got included. Like I said, the contracts are your commitments. Potential change orders is your log of potential changes that may have been recognized based on things that you see on the job site. So perhaps there needs to be a replacement of an electrical line that will have a cost associated with it. Once you mark that as ready for review, it goes into that overall budget grid, and you can see immediately what the impact is of those changes. Now all of that goes back and can be related to the drawings and the models that we saw earlier, and that's how we bring those things together and believe we can change the way that project management can be done. To close out, I want to show some of the settings as well that are available for you to make sure that your information is secure. All of the users who access the system get assigned a role. So all of the users are logged in here. All of the users can be assigned a project. So architect has access to the Westminster Office project here and is a standard user. The standard user is defined in this area over here, and when I open up that definition, you see the screenshot that I had in my slides as well. None of the administration functions are available for the standard user, and perhaps I don't want to make the budget items not available for that standard user either, because that is something that only project management should be taken care of. Then for each of the records, you can specify what this user can do with it. And even down to the individual fields, say the budget field, you can specify which of the components are read and write, which is this green check mark, which ones are view only, and which ones may be completely invisible to that user. So all the control is managed by using the system. and you can customize the content that you see. For example, drawing statuses, all of that can be organized through this application as well. So that is a very quick overview of Project Site. Like I said, our new application for project management, drawing and BIM collaboration in one single environment. We've got full control over all of the information that you bring into the system. It's proven project controls technology, online and offline capability, meaning that if you work on your iPad, you don't need a Wi-Fi signal. All of that can be synchronized and made available offline. And it's really a single place for all of your project communications. So go to one application for informed decision making and address those points that I started off with in the beginning of this presentation. With that, I'd like to see if there's any questions about Project Site. So first question that I see here is, rather than sending email notifications, can the system send text notifications? At this moment, it cannot. But that is an interesting question, actually. That is something that we could explore to make a text service available as well. At this moment, it's emails only. Then the next question is, can this software interface integrate with Workday for financial information, for example, budget and cost? Project Site, I did not mention it during the demonstration, but it has a application programming interface. If you would like to learn more about that, please reach out to our partner in Canada, Building Point Canada, and they can explain exactly how that works and how you can integrate applications such as Workday with Project Site. Next question is, how flexible is this system in terms of customizing the interface and features? So I hope that the last section that I went into as part of my demonstration, the portfolio settings and the project settings, answered part of that question. You can customize completely the values of your the lists that you see in the drop downs. So the status values, all of the descriptions of say drawing types, etc. All of that can be customized, and you can also customize what you see in the application. So if you don't want to use a certain module or don't want to use a certain feature, you can just choose to disable that. Next question is Project Site accessible by third-party participants or only by project staff of the same company who subscribes to the software? So our goal with Project Site was to make this a tool that can be used by all members of the project. So not just a manager, not just a superintendent or a project engineer, but all of the people who work on the job. And because of that, we have ways to subscribe to Project Site that make it possible to give everybody access to it with one simple subscription. So again, if you want to learn more, please reach out to our partner in Canada, Building Point Canada, and they can tell you all about it. It's a very easy way to get signed up and give everybody on the job access, or even within the company as well. Last question that I see here is, can you take photos on site and easily link to a punch item in the drawing? Yes, you can. So today I use the browser application. The iPad application looks exactly the same with one difference. If you add markup to a drawing, I created a link to a record. In the mobile application, you can, instead of selecting a link to a record, you can do that too, but there is also a camera icon, which then activates the onboard camera, and then automatically that photo is attached to, say, a punch item. A few more questions are coming in. How often is the software updated? If we purchase it and give feedback about features that we need, is that info taken into consideration? The first half of that question, how often it is updated, we are on a quarterly release cycle. So typically every season we have a new version of the software that is available. We're currently working on the winter release. And absolutely, the feedback that you provide us is taken into account. As a matter of fact, that's how we build software. The large majority of the things that you see in the application came from feedback from companies, users like yourself. What is the rough cost per year to use this software per seat? So there is not necessarily a per seat cost. The cost is calculated based on the size of your project or the size of your company, but the pricing is very competitive. Again, I would recommend reaching out to Building Point Canada. They are absolutely happy to answer that question. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear the pricing that we make this available for. Oh, my screen saver activated. Next question, sorry to add on to Linda's question. If I export files and send them to a third party, will people that don't use the system be able to see my markups? Depends on how you define the security settings. So you can choose to add markups that are not visible to parties that you don't want to see it. On the other hand, if you do want to see that, yes, they can access the system and see those markups too. Then Stefan asks, where do we go for more info? Building Point Canada, please reach out to them. They'd be more than happy to give you a more detailed demonstration and provide you with additional information. Alternatively, you can also go to our website. That is projectsite.trimble.com. So projectsite.trimble.com. When you navigate to that page, you will find additional information about Project Site. There's some downloads, there's videos, there's instruction videos as well, and maybe the best feature of the website is you can sign up for a free trial too. So we give you your first 3 users for free, and you can start to try that out today. So I certainly invite you to do that as well. There's a few more questions. Does information get backed up to any storage owned by Trimble? Yes, we do back up information. Of course, all of that follows the privacy requirements that you would expect from a solution like this. We are hosted in AWS, so Amazon Web Services, and that comes with backup security, so all of the information that you upload into the system is safe. How long does it typically take? That's the final question that I currently have. How long does it typically take to implement the system into a mid-sized company's workflow? That differs. If you go to projectsite.trimble.com and try it out, rolling out the drawings functionality could be as easy as a couple of days. I mean, you could get started today. You could upload your drawings and share those drawings with team members this week. If you wanted to look at implementing Project Site as a standard process for things like your budget management as well, that may take a little bit longer because you may have to specify what the budget codes are that you want to use with the system. Maybe you want to specify a little bit more what the various security roles are. But I would definitely recommend getting started with the drawings and build out your use from there and explore the other areas in the application. So anywhere between a couple of days to a number of weeks to get you started. You're very welcome. Another question came in here. How many years has the software been available? Project Site is Trimble's newest product for project management. But we have been around with project management solutions for more than 20 years. You may be familiar with the Prolog solution for project management. That is another solution that we offer. And that was really the first application for project management that used a database to store that kind of information and bring everything together in one environment. And things like the potential change order and other business processes that you may use today were really the invention of the team behind Prolog. So lots of experience in the project controls domain. Project Site has been out for a year. We introduced that in November last year at our biannual event, Trimble Dimensions in Las Vegas. I think that was the last question, and looks like we ended exactly within the hour. Thanks everyone for joining the webinar today.
And that's the end of this webinar, Reimagining Project Controls. If you missed any of today's webinar, it will be posted on buildingscanada.com under Available Webinars. Please make sure that you bookmark buildingscanada.com as your go-to resource for accredited expert webinars, innovative product showcases, breaking industry news, white paper reports, upcoming events, and more.